the critical explanation or interpretation of a body of work. We examine the fandoms of young and old, looking from origin to ending and everywhere in between. They say you never truly know someone until you know what they are passionate about. Sit back and buckle up. Welcome to the Exegesis.
What's going on, everybody? It is now Friday evening. I could not let it sit for another week. We had a special WWE presentation yesterday, kicking off the road to WrestleMania 40. And you know what? I can't do this alone, so I'm going to bring on some friends from Downtime in the Ring. We're going to bring on Donovan and Chris. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Good.
I'm back. Hi, guys.
You are back. You are a regular here on the Exegesis. Man, so most everybody knows that we have a Discord for Downtime in the Ring. And once the fireworks started going off yesterday, it was just comment. And man, I didn't know what to expect. But let's set up the thing. So we had kickoff to WrestleMania 40. And they came an announcement that, hey, we're going to have a press conference in Vegas, which was odd because it's Super Bowl week in Vegas, yet they're going to have this press conference there. I don't know. What do you guys think of that first announcement? Hey, we're going to have this engagement here. Initial thoughts, Chris?
I'd say it was playing to the market. It was just like every sports fan's there right now in America, and they're just grabbing all the football / wrestling fans, especially with George Kittle being in the Super Bowl and his fandom too, you know. So it was just I think it was just a marketing ploy, like ploy at that point, where it was a great strategy. And It paid off. It paid off very, very well.
Donovan, what was your initial thought?
Genius. Perfect. You have a wrestling promotion there. So I know a lot of those people probably got to go backstage or do something. You have, UFC. Of course, you have what? Who?
The UFC.
Who cares about them right now? Other than filthy Tom Lawler, who cares about them right now? They can't put a main event together to save their lives, and I'll fight anybody on that. So right now, that was perfect. That was a good idea. You couldn't have planned it better. You know, let's just put a press conference in the busiest city in the nation currently and give people the Thursday before the biggest game of the season. Let's give them something to do. Because it was free to attend unless you paid, $3,000, which we were making our jokes about if we had to pay $3,000. I want a backstage segment at Stand and Deliver, and Chris wants a cut of JD's.
I want money. A cut of the JD T-shirt profits.
Right. So yeah, and I want to be chopped by Gunther. One chop. That's all I want. Just one.
That's what would happen right after that.
Oh no!
I think I got one more chop left in me. I think I could take one more for the team.
He gonna wake up with that Kofi chest.
So you start seeing, of course, they announced that, for certain price points, you could, get a picture, you could sit here, you could get a lanyard or whatever. And then, of course, the $3,000, you get to go, I think it was backstage. You got meet and greets and pictures with Triple H and all that stuff. And I wasn't sure how many people would actually show up for that, but just to see when the camera panned back and you saw that front row just like crowded with these rabid fans.
Yep.
Of course, they've been probably a week in Vegas already. Some of them probably already won at the table, so they're just like, "Yep, all right, I got that money to spend. Craps was good to me, so I'll just go ahead and sit in this front row for this spectacle." And then they opened it up. Of course, they had a panel. One was great to see Big E. Loved seeing Big E. I don't know if he'll ever wrestle again, but it's good that he's still being involved. McAfee, Cole, and to my surprise, Second City Saint, CM Punk on the panel as well. Oh, were you guys expecting him? Was that a surprise for you, Donovan?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was disgusted by that. I love Big E. Everybody knows I love Big E. So I was over the moon. I was like, finally. And then they sat Big E next to Pat. I was like, this is going to be, this is the two you don't put next to each other at all, ever. This is the two that are, in math class making jokes the entire time. I loved it. Of course, Cole had to be there, but CM Punk, I knew why. Obviously, if you're going to have a press conference and he can't physically wrestle, he's got to be there in some way. Contract deems it. But, it was cool, I guess.
Chris?
3 out of the 4. I was happy for 3 out of the 4.
I thought it was pretty fun, like Donovan said, because he's injured and he's kind of got to be relevant somehow. 6 months is a long time. So, just seeing him have an input on stuff and even like playing into it later down in the conference, it just fits so well to the overall experience of it. I just thought like having McAfee was, so this is how I kind of viewed that panel, right? It's the injured star who might make a comeback in Big E, it's kind of that in the prime player who's like, well, I don't know. I do know. You got the voice of wrestling currently, the voice of the modern day Jim Ross and Michael Cole.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Punk, who's the controversial figure, and then McAfee, who's like the outsider looking in with all the football stuff. And like you can see it in McAfee, and I love McAfee for this because he didn't know, he was just there along with the ride for everyone. He didn't know that Rock was gonna slap him or anything. Maybe not. Who knows? But I thought it was a perfectly made chemistry of a panel. So
yeah. The McAfee definitely plays that. Hey, I'm innocent. I'm just here for the show. Card. He plays that so well. Always has. And I agree with you. The voice of WWE is Michael Cole. Love seeing Big E. He's always energetic and definitely got that crowd going. Punk, I know that he tweeted out something about being there, maybe making an appearance. I thought that they were going to have him kind of do like the Seth Rollins portion of the of it and just kind of be the MC on stage while all this is going on.
I see.
And just kind of be like a foil kind of atmosphere, that villain. And then we opened up the press conference with Triple H welcoming the crowd. That really, anytime he speaks, you can tell it's from
The heart.
heart and passion for the business. And he really got the crowd going. And then we had Bianca Belair come out, right? Was first.
Yes.
And I didn't quite understand that, other than maybe just to promote their show.
Yep.
Which is so good.
I
It's
haven't
good.
seen it yet, but
It's so good.
It's good, but I just think I'll just take a little small tangent. I think Bailey should have been there. So go on.
yeah. Oh, I agree. It really it felt out of place. I mean, I'm sure she'll be in WrestleMania somehow, maybe. But there's no clear thing for her, no role as of yet for her to be in the show, because you have Bailey and Io. And then you have the winner of the. I mean, I guess she'll be in the Elimination Chamber match, but maybe I don't quite know. We know that Becky's qualified, and we'll just go ahead and get right to that. So then you have Rhea Ripley come out, and I thought looked great, acted the part very well, talking about how dominant that she is and everything. And I expected her to get cut off, but I expected it to be Nia Jax. But instead, we get the man. Donovan, what was your first impressions of this interaction between Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley?
They're gonna push. They're gonna try and push a story that I know Chris is like, it makes sense, and I've already done the counter where I'm like, Bianca Belair is already part of this story that, Chris has said, like, it makes sense for Rhea, which is Rhea take down each of the 4 horsewomen. At this point, though, I'm like, Rhea doesn't even need to do that. And yeah, she could take down Becky Lynch, but then what does that do for Bex after Mania? Like, I'm like, it just, I don't care for it. Rhea's going to be dominant. If Becky wins, I will be happy because that's a swerve that throws me off, and I'm going to be like, whoa, that's amazing. But if she doesn't, I'm just going to be like, well, that'll probably be my restroom break match.
Chris, what did you think of the promo that those two gave?
Between the two, I thought it was pretty nice. The mommy's gonna know what it's gonna be like to be a bottom. I was on my phone and then I hear that, I'm like, oh my god, foul. So that kind of got me all excited. That got me very excited for that match. Just that one, like, whenever they just start talking shit like that. Sorry if I can cuss.
No, it's fine.
But if they start talking like that and it sells the fight even more, I'm all for it. Now, as far as Becky beating, I understand that. Well, initially it wasn't really Becky, it was Bailey, wasn't it? Like I had said, Donovan.
Yeah, you had said
that
that Bailey's gonna choose Rhea.
See, and I didn't factor in Becky pretty much because I just felt like it doesn't really matter. I get it's iconic woman wrestler versus the new iconic woman wrestler, right? It's literally like 2018 and 2020.
It's like 2016, 2020.
Yeah. So it's a seller match at this point. I kind of view it as icon v icon at this point. At least we're getting that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Rhea's gonna take it. I think she can be so much more, I feel like, and she's barely, like, she knows how to play to the crowd with the promo prior to the battle. She just knows how to listen in to the crowd. She's got it, and I've seen it in NXT. I've seen it all the way up to now, and it's. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I thought that the banter between of the two it took it to different levels that I had seen them before. Um, of course, you know the whole mommy chants and everything, and she ate it up, and then I don't know. Becky's kind of seemed like she was alternating between monikers, whether it's Big Time Bex or whether it's the man. She kept addressing it different ways. And I'm like, all right, well, it was kind of confusing because it's almost like a Mankind, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack persona for Becky. She has these different personalities that come out with depending on the type of match and what she's supposed to do. So the man is basically unstoppable. Big Time Bex is like the underdog that always seems to get that second wind and that extra effort going. And she has one more, and I can't remember what that one was.
Last kicker. Last
Yeah,
kicker.
yeah. And where she just takes as much punishment as she can get. So it's like the many faces of Becky. And so it was kind of confusing on which persona she was trying to go at. And yeah, that whole bottom thing, I was like, oh wow, I almost spit. I was drinking some water and I almost spit it out. I couldn't believe that they let that one go. I think we're going to get Becky winning Elimination Chamber to set up that match. I believe we'll probably have Bianca, and I don't know if it's too early yet, but Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill.
I believe it.
Well, to set up a Mania match between them two, but I don't know if that's too soon. I don't. Maybe Jade and Nia. No, Nia's going to be with Rhea for Elimination Chamber, so she won't be in it. But I'm just trying to think of different things. I think that probably Jade and Bianca will be in there. They'll cancel each other out. Probably in there.
Whatever keeps Maxine Dupree on a NXT show rather than the main show.
Just for giggles, we'll throw in some Botch Fest Maxine Dupree in the last and final spot of the Elimination Chamber. Yeah, but we'll probably get like Liv Morgan in there. I don't know, somebody else. There's 6 total, so I don't know. I see Becky winning it to set up a good match. Then I think it's going to come down to contract. If her and Seth re-sign, then she could win. But if they decide that they're not going to re-sign because it's up in June,
yeah,
then Rhea all the way. I don't know. But think it was entertaining to see. And then we get Seth coming out, and the crowd eats it up, and it's great. And I honestly thought that it was still iffy on if he was going to make Mania, but I guess it seems like his MCL tear might not have been as bad as they thought, and he says that he's definitely going to be ready before then. That he's about 3 weeks out, according to his last physical therapy thing. So unless something happens there, that's, all right. But he came out, warmed up the crowd great, got them really into it. And he says, all right, let's bring out Cody. And then we get head of the table music.
Yeah.
And I was confused. And I don't know if it was just a really good selling part on Seth, but he looked confused. And I thought maybe someone hit the wrong button and to have Roman come out. And I'm like, wait a minute. All right. Well, this doesn't really, it's not flowing right. It didn't, okay. And he just saunters out there and with his slow Roman speak, interrupts. And I'm like, okay. I don't know. Did you guys have the same feeling, Chris? What do you think when hey, here comes Cody, and everyone expects Cody, and Roman comes out? Did it seem disjointed to you, or were you just happy for it?
So I was actually happy for it because, like, initially the Roman stuff, like, you got to expect it's either Roman or Rock, and they have to play well into it. I just feel like they knew that if bringing Roman out, that set everything up. That set everything up like perfectly in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as that specific moment, Roman's just like, he's still got that bravado. He's still the tribal chief. People still acknowledge him. He's got it.
Mm-hmm.
And he just, as far as like his promo and stuff, and him belittling Seth, a little banter, it sets up a weird, like, that. It's still continuing a storyline for their eventual fight, later down the line. If Seth, of course, like, resigns or not. Maybe that's the match that he ends on at SummerSlam, or in June, who knows? But I really enjoyed it as far as like they're already leading you away. You're intended to be like in path A, and that's the narrative thinking of it. Trust me, I get it. But the first initial swerve after that, it just, okay, what's going on at this point? And I think they were very masterfully done. And so that's my take on it.
Right. Donovan?
Oh, I thought it was cool because I honestly thought Roman was just going to go out there and roast Seth, which sort of happened, but not really. But I thought it was just going to be like a slaughter at this point, or a Seth slaughter at this point, where he was like, no matter what, you're always going to be the injured one. You're always going to be the one that, no matter what reign you do, you can't keep it. Like I was fully expecting, like, just a good 2-3 minutes of him just roasting Seth and somebody else coming out. But I enjoyed it. I mean, it makes sense. Like you said, Roman says 3 words, waits 45 seconds, says the rest of his sentence, looks at the crowd, says, acknowledge me, gets mad. Heyman's there going, oh, like that's it. That's a whole Roman Reigns promo right there.
Yeah. Looking back on it, I was kind of, like I said, when I first saw it, and I watched it back again today, and I was like, okay, it makes a little more sense. But initially, yeah, I was like, man, it's really just, and I don't know if it's just because his intro took so long, and they draw it out, and then
he waits for that final beat. He waits for that final beat for him to.
And I'm like, all right. It's like, I almost, I wanted him just to say, you know what, cut the music. I'm out here, and I'm out here for a reason. Go sit over there with, as you said, the number 2 table, the kids' table over there in your wife's shoes, and, let the grown-ups talk over here. But it just was like, all right, all right. We know you're here, Roman. Get on with it. And, I was like, all right, so is Cody coming out now? And it's not. They bring out The Rock. And I haven't seen this much heat on The Rock since before he joined Nation of Domination. Well, maybe the first part of Nation of Domination, where chants of Rocky sucks, interrupting everything that the man says. And it's just, the crowd still was, and I was like, the crowd just seems weird. It's not, because normally you hear, Rocky comes out, you get that pop, He points to his arm. He's got the goosebumps there. The crowd's going wild. And this time, the music hits, and it's like, yay. Oh, wait, no, we're supposed to boo this guy. Boo. And, it's like, all right. It felt weird. And the crowd, half of them chanting, we want Cody. No, we don't. We want Cody. No, we don't. And I'm just like, pick a side, somebody, it was so uneven that it was even. And I don't know. What'd you think of when The Rock came out, Donovan?
But Cody has to finish his story. Oh, I loved it. And oh my God, he had nuclear heat. He couldn't even say it correctly, like The Rock's come back to Las Vegas. He couldn't, the crowd played perfectly to it. He played perfectly to it. It couldn't have been better. And what he said on the Pat McAfee show before, the afternoon before, was perfect. I know a lot of people, like my coworkers, like last night, I said, like, when I come in this morning, my coworkers are going to have questions, and they all did. They were like, oh my God, what did you think of that? Because they're all getting back into it. They're all in their,
I love it.
Mid 30s to early 40s. And they're like, Donovan, what did you think of that press conference? And I was like, but Cody has to finish his story. And we were all laughing about it. And they're like, dude, like, what do you think is going to happen? And I said, same thing I told you at the beginning of the week. Trust it. Just enjoy it. Be a kid again. And one of them, he has 2 boys. So he gets to be a kid with his kids. And they get to be like, oh, why does everybody hate The Rock? And he goes, because The Rock will say some crazy things. And I loved it. I loved it that he had nothing but like nuclear heat.
Yeah. Chris?
It's The Rock initial pop. You can hear it. And everyone's excited. And then, like you said, everyone's like, wait, we're supposed to boo this guy. Boo, Rocky sucks. But he still got through his catchphrases and stuff. And it's like, it just reminds me of old school heel Rock, where he's still able to do the catchphrases. And let me just tell you, at that Pat McAfee show, if there's one thing I know about watching this show, this company, is you are not safe from a Rock roast whatsoever. I got hurt when he started calling people Cody crybabies, and it wasn't the fact that it was just like, if you have that quick wit and it's The Rock, it's like, I just got rocked. So, man, that's gonna be on the 2024 Rock insult compilation. So, but overall, it was enjoyable, very enjoyable. Just seeing the confusion amongst it all. It's you haven't seen a crowd like that. It's either they're dead against it or dead for it. Cena 06, what's going on? It's after all the bull crap that's been going on outside of wrestling involving the company. I'm just pretty impressed that they've been able to cover it with equally as interesting controversy. That's what I'll say out of all that. So it's working. It's bringing in a lot more eyes than what I've really seen in a while, honestly. Like with even coworkers from my old job are like, yeah, I got back into wrestling because of you and stuff like. So it was just like crazy. So that's my thing on that.
I think my main complaint on it was on SmackDown when Cody came out and said, you know what, I've been taking counsel, and it's somebody that and it ends up being The Rock to set all of this up. And him and Rock hug in the ring, and it's just like, all right, so they're on a page. They know whatever the goal is that they're working towards. And then you get to the Pat McAfee show, and it's almost a complete 180. Is that right? 180? Completely turn around of The Rock now not, all right, well, he's really going at Cody. And that doesn't seem like that's what we were supposed to get according to SmackDown. And I was like, all right, well, that's kind of why it feels weird. Maybe it's just The Rock being The Rock. And maybe when it gets out there, we'll get some sort of explanation on what's going on and why it's okay for 1 second and then now it's not. And why now it's more important for Rock and Roman than Cody and Roman. It just didn't really make sense. So I was hoping for some sort of thing. And they started that. And Rock and Roman kind of going back and forth a little bit. And and I'm trying to remember, was the family brought up before Cody came out?
Yes.
Okay, I was trying to make sure that was the case. Yeah. So and they showed the tree, and I'm like, oh, that's glorious. All right, now it has meaning. How are they going to pull this off and sell it to make it have more meaning than just a match, just more of a Rock weaseling his way in, stealing the limelight from Cody. There's got to have some sort of gravitas to this match other than just, hey, we're going to have a match. And then Cody comes out, and to me, this is where it fails. It really starts to fizzle at this point. Because then it switches from why is Rock and Roman going to now Cody comes out and says, you know what? Yes, you have a important family tree. Very important. Got to respect your elders. But you know what they would say? We're disappointed in you. And that was the major insult. There was no, you know what? Your ancestors should be slapping pineapples or whatever, something, compared to my family, there is nothing here. My family is the true dynasty, although you have like 1,600 more people than I do in my family tree that we kind of talked about on Discord, where it's like a straight arrow of a family tree. You guys talked about it on your on your recap yesterday. Yeah, here's the Cody tree, and here's the Rock and Roman family tree, which is still missing a few members. But and so
justice for Zilla. Hashtag
Justice.
justice for Zilla.
Tribal combat.
And so we have all this, and it's like, oh yeah, they'll be disappointed in you. Oh, okay. But I mean, then The Rock goes after Cody, and Roman just kind of stands back and is like, all right, well, whatever. And Seth is just in the background, is like losing his mind about all of this. I don't know. To me, that when you have this match and you're trying to set up whether it's going to be this match over here or this match over here, there was no equal weight once Cody came out. It was just well, you said my family is going to be disappointed. How dare you? I'm going to give you the Will Smith treatment and smack you on air. But it doesn't.
I made a comment like that. I'm sorry. I sent a DM in regards to that to someone today. So that's pretty funny you bring that up.
I mean, I don't. It just at that point, it's just like there was no. All right, so now why is Rock and Roman going to fight? And maybe it'll set up something later. But now we're getting Rock and Roman and Cody and Roman, and we don't know why we're getting the matches other than Cody picked Roman. That's his choice. Okay. So why is Rock here again? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Sure, future storytelling, great. Not a problem. Do you want to have a bloodline match for like War Games and it's going to be the whole family against, which they've already done, the whole family against WWE, whether it's, Triple H handpicking his guys versus The Rock picking his guys or whatever. For WrestleMania, it really felt weird in that we didn't get that path forward to WrestleMania. Maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. Chris, what do you think? Am I out on a limb here that it just seems separate now, or?
So I said it a day after The Rock showed up on SmackDown, right? I went through I don't know how many stages of grief in terms of wrestling, but after Rock showed up, after I became a Cody crybaby, and then I started going on to TikTok. Not fun sometimes, but there's some pretty neat little storytellers on there. So I said immediately after one specific one, like, okay, it's a controversy. They're going to play it out. And it felt like and I started looking at it, and the way Rock was leaning into some of this stuff, and a lot of the reports are just so leaning into everything that The Rock is this just super egotistical dude, I'm like, is he though? Like he can't be this terrible of a person. I get it, but he's not. It's the toxicity of the thing, But I just felt like it was the right thing to play into it, and with Rock coming out and saying that I respect the passion, and he shows the bloodline tree, and he was leading towards something. I love the tree, Justice for Zilla. But I felt like it was getting yeah, it felt like there was something more to it. It's again, I still feel like there's more that we have to wait and be patient. It's like I said, it's like we had kind of come to an agreement on the show. It's one of those where they're subverting everything that people are saying, and they're going their own separate way. Therefore, we don't know what the heck's going on. We're just along for the ride, and we have to tune in literally at 7:00 to see what the heck is going on,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I like that feeling. I like how confusing it is. It's something different to the product that I haven't seen since the old days of Raw, and like with the Triple H, and it's Rock, the two most knowledgeable people in that company right now, heading that company on both sides, on the corporate level and the creative level.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not dumb. They are not dumb. They are in those positions for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And now that Vince is gone, it just opened up so much. It lifted so much weight to where, like, okay, let's play with this now.
Mm-hmm.
How can we involve this guy with this guy and this guy with this guy, but still these guys are still kind of feuding in The Rock and Roman, but now Cody pissed off the family. Now, once you put it that way, where the big insult was your grandfather are ashamed of you, I think it was more leaning towards the insult where they haven't been there for 2 years. They're calling themselves the head of the table, but they haven't been cooking for the last 2 years. So
right.
I felt like it led more into that insult. I get it. You would think you would want to lead with that one, but it's in the heat of the moment because you know how Cody is when Roman talks about his dad. So it was in the heat of the moment. And then the Rock basically said like what you said. He said, "Get my family out your mouth," and slapped slapped Cody into next Tuesday or into today, let's say. And it was that Raw feeling, that like old school ending of Raw feeling, even towards the very end where, and we'll get, and I'll let you introduce that part, but if you want to go ahead, Donovan. I enjoyed it. Absolutely.
Right.
So here's what I'm going to say, and this might answer some stuff, this might not. So Friday, I think they all need to come out and publicly say it. They effed up with whatever Cody was trying to do and pitch the world magical farts and rainbows by giving it to The Rock, because that just completely left a bigger plot hole than all of the Final Destination movies put together. So the two big boys are going to fight. There's no doubt about it. That's why, yeah, they're going to have their match. They're going to fight. Egos are going to get flared. That's why we have them. They're going to fight. This is a match that people want, regardless. It may not be this Mania. It may be in Minnesota, because that's where Mania is going to be next year. Hopefully we get to go. Overall, I'm like, dude, the insult wasn't too crazy, but they needed something that was going to pop off. And obviously you're not going to have the baby face hit too low of a blow, because then he's getting onto their level and it's going to be like, wow, he's really going there. So your great grandpappy's mad at you. This is what the one I'm going to pop off on, I guess, which is perfectly fine. I mean, it had to happen. It had to happen. Overall, great promo. The moment that The Rock and Roman, shook hands and hugged each other, I was like, they're going to fight. They're going to have a tribal combat or something. It's going to be a cool match at next Mania. But for this one, all I see The Rock doing right now is he's going to be the reason why Cody gets the belt. He will be the reason. So that's all I got to say. It was a great promo, great slap. Seth was cool, being like angry Kermit the Frog in the background and just waving his arms around was perfect. I was really hoping that he would shake his arms and you would just have Patrick Mahomes in the background being like, that's not very nice. Just be the real Kermit the Frog. But yeah, I enjoyed that promo a whole lot.
Yeah, and even then, so you have the slap, and the whole crowd just like, oh, I can't believe that just happened, and Cody is, I guess, trying to pick his jaw up off the ground or whatever, but no retaliation from him, really. I mean, he stands up and the biggest one that was more upset was Seth. He's the one that starts charging in and on his gimpy leg, and and is just,
there's Seth Rollins right there.
It's like, wow, all right, he's a lot more upset. Then they have the typical UFC scrum where they're all facing each other, and Triple H is out there, and you have Aldis and Pierce, and they're ready to step in between them if it comes to that, and they start separating them, and Seth just runs up in front of the crowd and, oh, how dare you, and and I'm like, okay, well, that where it ends, and then it kind of goes backstage, and you have The Rock and Triple H, and Rock's like, oh, you better control your boy, better watch. And next time he talks about our family again, there's going to be heck to pay. It just, I mean, it's like, then they start bleeping it out, and I'm like, he's still very angry about being told he was a disappointment, I guess. And I agree. I think that if they would have just, the whole, when Cody calls Roman a meal ticket, that was a bigger insult than, say, that they're going to be, disappointed in him. It's just, I mean, I didn't quite get it. and it ended, and I was scratching my head and went right to the Discord, and I'm like, I don't get it. It gave me a whole lot more questions than, and that's fine, because now that I've thought about it, I can see that it just wasn't what I expected. I expected a reason for this match and a reason for this match, and for whatever reason Seth is out here. Okay, but it's not what we got. Not what we got at all. But I was entertained. And I agree with what you guys were saying. It felt more like a early 2000s Raw feel to it. And I don't know if seriously, they let some of the cursing come through, and then they bleeped out some of it. So I'm sensing we're going to get maybe a rating change once they move over to Netflix, and not necessarily to be the
Attitude Era.
Or the
Ruthless.
No, the McMahon centered. I think they're going to steer way clear of that.
Yeah.
As far as puppies and other, more sexualized content. Yeah. But I think it's going to be more of the aggression era, where it's just going to be over the top, things with language and more violent and just higher than that PG that we're getting now. But yeah, I mean, overall, I really still don't know what to expect. I don't know. So I pitched this in our Discord, and this was how I saw that they could fix. If they would have done this, it would have probably fixed everything. And I'm going to read it, and you can disagree or not or whatnot. So basically Rock comes out, says, Roman's out there. Rock comes out, says, blah, blah, blah. You're a disgrace to the family, the way that you've been running it. You're not ahead of the table. You're be lucky if you can get like table scraps. And Roman is like, hey, well, I'm the longest reigning champion since Bruno Sammartino or whatever. And then, Rock is, says it doesn't matter how long you've been, the longest reigning champ. And then Cody comes out, says that Roman's a meal ticket. Rock gets mad and tells Cody, don't talk about my family. This is between us two. You keep your mouth out of it. In that, Roman tells Rock, no, like, I'm in charge here, not you. And they start arguing back and forth about it. Cody quips up, hey, you better control your family. And, and that sets up that match of who's going to be in control of who's the actual head of the table here. Is it Roman? Is it Rock? Rock's got this pedigree. Roman's got this long reign. Who's actually head of the table? Cody keeps talking crap about the family and says, you know what? At WrestleMania, I've made my choice. I'm picking Roman for the title. Let's see, what did I say? Rock's still mad at Cody and tells him that, your family sucks compared to, our family, and the bloodline. And then maybe you get Rock and Cody at Elimination Chamber as like a warm-up for WrestleMania, just to get Rock some ring time in front of a crowd. Doesn't necessarily matter who wins. It can end in a disqualification or count out or whatever. You get Rock in the ring in front of a live studio to work on that timing. There goes another match there. And then then at the end, you still have Seth, and he's like, hey, well, what about me? If it wasn't been for me, I'm still the the workhorse champion. And then Drew comes out, and Drew claymores Seth right there in mid sentence or whatever on the stage, and gets his Kermit the Frog, and he falls over, and then you have Damian Priest come out and knock out Drew with the briefcase, just to remind everybody that, hey, I still have this briefcase I can cash in at any time. That sets up either the Elimination Chamber match, or you get Drew versus Seth at WrestleMania. They get their WrestleMania moment in, and you can still, is Damian Priest going to cash in now at the winner of that match with the briefcase? I don't know. What do you guys think?
So the one thing that I wish, and this has nothing to do with your scenario, is that I wish they did, and I think this is probably going to get more nuclear heat than anything, is I wish when Cody said, I earned the right, I wish Paul had grabbed a mic and said, Dwayne, he has earned the right. And Dwayne looks at him and says, shut your mouth, employee. And that's where you just see Trips just like bite his tongue, kind of bite his cheek. That's what I would have loved. Now your scenario is pretty cool. I don't think that The Rock is ready by Elimination Chamber. The man's in shape, but ring shape is a whole different kind of shape. Yeah. I don't think that the man's going to be ready by Elimination Chamber, especially the way that, the time difference, the fact that he's going to have to travel a few days beforehand, get his sleep right, go train, be ready for Perth, come back, do it all again. He's not as young as he used to be. And I'm kind of okay with him just, stretching out a little bit and not having a match real too quick, because he could do 4 moves like Sting does, and people are still going to be excited in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Well, I guess according to the dirt sheets, he's had a ring for a while, and he's been practicing, and is what he says is in training camp. But again, when you're in front of a live crowd, it's a little different. That's why I threw in the, hey, get out there, mix it up a little bit, double count outs or disqualification, just to get him. Yes, he's a seasoned professional, and he's done this for years after years after years, but you still need that crowd interaction to get that, because it throws off your timing.
Yes.
Having a crowd there throws off your timing. You could, Chris, I'm not sure if you've trained in wrestling or not, but Donovan, when you're there and you're running the ropes, and in a training scenario versus when you're running the ropes and there's a crowd there, there's a difference, a huge difference. And if you're not ready for it, it can trip you up and it can get you hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, that's why I really want him to be there, maybe, or some dark matches or something. He's got to get that crowd ring shape ready. But I don't know, Chris, what do you think of that scenario?
I thought it was a pretty good scenario. I don't know how much more heel you can make The Rock. I'm just gonna go de facto like 2003 Hollywood Rock, but more modern. So I'm expecting the Rock concert. I'm expecting a dumb chant. Someone's gonna Cody has a lot to work towards in order to be in a program with The Rock. Roman also has a lot to work towards because he's going to be in a program with The Rock. Yeah, you can have your acknowledge me's, you can have your believe it, you can have your little one-liners, but The Rock had promos. he could go to town on people, and he's just got that crowd factor, regardless of whether they're going to boo him because they really hate him or not. He's going to get the people involved, regardless.
Yeah.
And so both Cody and Roman have to learn how to combat that with equal amount. And I'm more afraid of Cody in this scenario because it's like you can talk about you don't want to talk about your dad, but you can't have to talk about your dad. And like, what else do you have other than you could probably say stuff about the other company and stuff, but they're equally going to have that same amount of right to do so, especially with Rock. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to see how it would go, per se. I don't discredit the idea of Rock not doing some minor matches. I would love to see Rock and the DQ finish. Great. I would see it in no other way because you don't want to have Rock win and beat someone with such high momentum and or Rock lose and then go into against Roman and so
you can't have a winning scenario there.
Yeah. And so I kind of take it to akin of like it's almost similar to how the situation should have been whenever Rock came back the first time or the last time at WrestleMania 27, right? He was the host. He came in and he was like the referee essentially. This is the scenario where I'm thinking he might be a referee in this sense to set up for the following Mania.
Okay.
See, and so because Rock Roman is still going to be a draw. He's not wrong. It's a draw. But this Mania, I just feel like you have something built already for this Mania because no one knew literally 10 months or 11 months out of the last year that you were going to have the opportunity to have Rock on here,
Yeah.
that just wasn't built into the story. It just kind of happened on a whim. And now they're presented this scenario where it's like, well, we have both, and I know most people want both, but how do we appease both sides? And I feel like there is no right way to do it. They just got to go with the majority, and I firmly believe that the majority is Cody, and that's what they're leaning into ultimately, because now we're gonna see Rock and Roman in some form of capacity, and maybe that's the tag match that he wants. Maybe put Rock and Roman in a tag against Cody and Seth, and somehow make that a thing and go from there,
Yeah.
Maybe SummerSlam.
So that was something else that you said I was going to comment on. You said that you weren't sure if Rock was that egotistical to pull something like that. Every wrestler is egotistical. You have to have that, but away from it, he's not.
No.
He's down to earth, extremely funny, easy to talk to, and quick to bounce ideas off of other people. I've seen him in that setting and had a chance to talk with him a little bit, and very open to whatever works to get the crowd invested to tell that story. And that's the main thing that he was concerned about that time. This was 2003, 2004, I think, somewhere around there. It's many years ago, but so my brain's a little fuzzy. But he was still on top. Him and Austin were going at it at Backlash when I managed to run into him at Tim White's bar, the old referee for WWE.
Nice.
He had a bar down the street from my house, and we would go there quite often, and you always saw wrestlers and things there. So, but very open, very, very humble, extremely funny. And I think he's playing it like a maestro, like only The Rock can.
Yep.
So, but yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm gonna have to go back and start watching SmackDown now. We're about an hour into it, but I really appreciate you guys coming on and talk to me about that. I had to talk about it, and face to face, not just text messages and stuff. So I really appreciate you guys. Where can we catch you guys? I don't care who wants to say it, but
Downtime on in the Ring on YouTube. You can also find us at Downtime in the Ring on Instagram, on TikTok, on not on Twitter yet. Not on Twitter yet. We're not big enough for that yet, and we're gonna get eat alive if we do it right now. But we have some cool things in the works. I always have my phone on. I'm always talking to more people. We have some cool things in the works. Overall, if you are not a wrestling fan, but you were very shocked by what The Rock did, the only F word you guys can use is fiddle, because he played the entire nation like one. That's the only F word that you guys are allowed to use from now on. That's all I gotta say.
Awesome. Well, I do have a lot of wrestling stuff coming up. I'm switching up my format just a little bit because there's so much pop culture things going on in the world, whether it's Star Wars or movies or wrestling or other things. So about once a month, I'm going to be talking about wrestling stuff. Would love to have you guys come on, bounce some ideas off of you. Maybe get some special guests in as well. But yeah, hey, for those that are listening in, I know we didn't have much of an audience tonight and wasn't even really checking to see if we had any comments. I was so engrossed in our discussion, but it doesn't look like it. That's fine. I'm going to throw this out on the audio waves as well. So yeah, hey, if you're a wrestling fan and you're enjoying this, recommend it to a friend. You can find it wherever your audio podcasts are. Plus, we go live every Thursday night on YouTube. So join us then. Until next time, may the force be with you.